Hey beautiful. Have you considered subscribing to our channel? It helps us make quality content for you. Help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers.
The arena was carved into the bones of a dead planet. Nothing grew there. Nothing moved that was not told to. The air was dry. The sky was black glass. 1,000,000 species screamed in 1,000,000 tongues from observation decks made of titanium and cruelty. All waited. All watched. All hungered. In the pit below stood monsters. Tharek the Stonehide scraped his claws against the arena wall. He was 12 feet tall, bred in the gene forges of Zarnok Prime. His tusks had shattered starship hulls. His fists could crack neutronium. He had never lost a match. Beside him hissed Grell the Silent Moor. Her breath was acid. Her veins glowed. Her body was plated in metallic scales harvested from collapsed planets. No creature had touched her without melting. She had once consumed a living titan, and yet neither moved, not even when the gate opened. A man stepped through, no escort, no armor battalion, no chains, just him. He wore old Terran combat leathers, faded black, cracked at the seams. Across his shoulder hung a shredded flag with no nation, only a blood-red handprint smeared across it. His boots crunched ash as he walked, no weapons, no fear. The audience laughed, some jeered, some roared. A few looked at each other, confused. One of the observers, a four-eyed diplomat from the Unathi Syndicate, tilted his head and whispered, "What species is that?" Another leaned in, unknown, possibly mammalian, fragile frame, no exobone, no augment. Pattern. Then why is it walking? No answer. In the pit the beasts had gone still. Tharek sniffed the air. Grell coiled back. The others, dozens of beasts engineered for violence, watched the man approach the center of the pit. None attacked. He looked up. His eyes were pale gray. Dead stars, a voice echoed from the loudspeaker. Deep and metallic, new, challenger. Species undesignated. Bio-readings insufficient. Threat level minimal. The crowd erupted again. Laughter, coins thrown, bets placed. Put him against the Gorax, someone shouted. Feed him to the Maw. The Emperor watched from above, cloaked in shadows, surrounded by guards who trembled without knowing why. He leaned forward. His voice was gravel. Pause the beasts. A technician turned. My lord, they are already paused. No, I mean manually pause them. They are not responding. The Emperor stared. He leaned closer. His eyes narrowed. The man stood in the center. He raised a hand. Not fast, not threatening, just a gesture. Palm open one of the beasts, a void claw reaper bred for atmospheric assassination, lowered its head, then another, then another. The crowd quieted. In seconds every combat beast had lowered its gaze. Some bowed, some whimpered. Tharek knelt, the man. Looked at the stands. He spoke, "My name is Kale Draven." A ripple passed through the crowd. Someone dropped a data slate. Someone else began to shake. An ancient archivist in the Emperor's chamber gasped. Impossible. Another turned to him. What is it? The old one whispered, a Terran. Laughter died. Kyle stood alone, unmoving. The beasts still knelt around him. Some licked the dirt at his feet. None attacked. The Emperor stood. This is a trick. A general beside him said nothing, his face pale, his jaw locked, his voice a whisper. He is not a trick. He is the last one. The last predator. The Emperor snapped. Terrans were purged, the general. Shook his head. They vanished. We never found the bodies. No one ever did. The arena feed flickered. A static hum pulsed through the stands. Then the image of a battlefield. Blackened earth, smoking ruins. The last battle of the Terran War. The feed zoomed in. A single figure walked across the devastation. Bodies of Dominion war titans burned around him. His armor was scarred. His eyes the same Kyle Draven. He had not aged. The Emperor snarled. That was centuries ago. The general nodded slowly. They waited. They watched. They never died. Kyle turned in the pit, looked directly at one of the hollow cameras. As if he could see, his voice rang out. This is not a battle, it is a reckoning. The beasts behind him stood, still silent. Still obedient, one observer whispered. He commands them, another replied. No, he owns them. The Emperor turned to his advisors. "Get me a scan. Find his neural code. Get me something." An aide stammered, "Sir, the systems reject his profile. No neural imprint. No DNA lock, no technobind. He does not exist." Kyle looked up at the black glass sky. "I came for the truth. I came for what you buried." One of the handlers in the control tower screamed, "The Reaper is breaking containment." "No, no, it's kneeling." "Why would it kneel?" Kale walked to Tharek. The giant beast grunted, then thumped its chest once. Kale touched its forehead. "You remember me?" Tharek let out a low rumble in the observation deck. The diplomat from the Unathi Syndicate turned to the historian beside him. "You told me the Terrans were exterminated. That they burned out." The historian swallowed. "They did not burn out. They chose to stop." Kale looked into the stands. 1,000 years ago, your kind came to Earth. You claimed we were a threat, that we were too wild, too chaotic. You claimed you came for peace." He raised a hand. "And then you bombed our oceans, shattered our moons, turned our cities into shadows." The lights in the arena dimmed. Kale's voice continued, "But you did not win." One of the aliens shouted, "This is propaganda." "Lies," Kyle smiled. "No, this is memory." The pit shimmered, a projection activated. A Terran fleet, silent, cold. Vast, the Dominion had always said it was destroyed. The fleet had never moved. Until now. Kale raised his other hand. "They feared us. So they erased us. Or tried to." A whisper spread through the stands. "Project Apex, the..." Emperor froze. He turned to the general. "That was myth." The general looked pale. "It was never a myth. It was a warning." Kale lowered his hands. "I am not here to conquer. I am not here to destroy." He looked down. "I am here because you lied." He looked up and... "Now everyone will know." The beasts roared in unison. The sky above began to glow. Kale turned and smiled. The sky above the arena pulsed like a waking eye. Across the observation deck, silence fell. Every translation node flickered. Some exploded. Others simply failed to translate what they were hearing. Kyle stood at the center, surrounded by beasts, flanked by silence. Above him, chaos struggled to take form in the Emperor's chamber. The command AI flickered. Report system interference source. Unknown biometrics indicate Class 0 predator profile. Confirmed. Override authority not recognized. The Emperor's face twisted. "Shut that thing up." The general beside him did not speak. He stared at Kale. His hands clenched. The Emperor turned. "What is it? Speak." The general's voice was dry. "We built our war doctrines on false history. This is the correction." The Emperor laughed. A hollow sound. "He is alone. We control the system. The fleets, the species, he is one man." The general turned. "He is not a man, he is a Terran apex." On the lower levels, a technician accessed ancient logs. Files marked restricted. Files marked sealed by emergency protocol. One file blinked. Project Apex. Status dormant. Location redacted. The technician clicked the file. The screen went black. Then text appeared. "If you are reading this, they have returned Kale." Walked toward the edge of the pit. The beasts parted. None challenged him, none resisted. They moved with the obedience of packmates, of soldiers. He looked up at the central broadcast lens, the one tied to the Dominion's galactic feed. "Your time of forgetting is over." His voice echoed across 50 systems, on slave worlds, on mining colonies, on warships where the truth was locked behind firewall and silence. On Kareth 9, a child looked up from a field. He watched the sky shimmer. He saw a man standing among monsters. And the monsters bowed on a prison moon, an old warhound. Gasped Apex Walks. In the arena, the Emperor gave the kill command. 30 elite guards materialized around the pit, augmented, armored, armed with void-piercing lances and microgravity blades. Kyle looked at them, said nothing, took no stance. The guards advanced. The beasts growled. Kyle raised a hand. "Stand down." The beasts froze. The guards rushed. Kyle moved. No wasted motion. No flourish, a step, a pivot. A strike. One fell, crushed throat, another staggered, jaw broken. Blade shattered. He moved like a shadow in firelight, a memory in motion. Two more lunged. He spun, took one's weapon, used it against the other. No. Screams. Just the sound of purpose. 6 seconds, 9 guards down. The rest circled. One charged. Kale caught his arm. Snapped the joint, threw him into two others. Another fired, pulse round curved mid-air, hit nothing. Kale was already there. The last guard hesitated. Kale stopped. Leave. The guard ran. In the stands a noble from the Korak cluster rose. This is impossible. Beside him a diplomat from Vela turned. No, this is historical. Kale stood over the broken guards. You sent warriors. Not to stop me, but to prove to yourselves I was still a myth. He turned his head slightly. You needed to believe your lies. In the upper chamber the Emperor trembled. Cut the feed. Cut it now. The technician stammered. We can't. It's been rerouted. To where? Everywhere. Kale touched a control panel embedded in the arena wall. Ancient tech responded. A hidden node activated. The arena floor shifted. Projectors lifted images. Appeared not just of war, not of death, but of creation, of the birth of the Apex program, of men like Kale bred not just to fight, but to remember, to awaken when the lies became too thick to breathe. Kale spoke. You erased our name. You burned our soil. But you forgot one thing. He looked straight into the lens. You taught us how to endure. The general in the Emperor's chamber closed his eyes. They're watching. All of them. Every race, every colony, every slum and throne. The Emperor turned on. Him then shut it down. You can't shut down memory. Kale deactivated the projection. The floor returned. The beasts settled around him. At ease, at peace, one of them spoke. A rare trait. A voice low and rough. You left us. Kale turned to it. No. I hid you. To keep you from becoming what they wanted. The creature lowered its head. And now Kale looked around. Now we fight. Not for war. For truth. In the darkness of space, a Dominion fleet prepared. Orbital strike commanders shouted, target locked. Awaiting. Fire code. The fire code never came. Instead, a new signal echoed through the void. A Terran encryption key. The flagship systems froze. Then rebooted. The screens showed a single word awakened. The weapon systems disarmed. The crews screamed. Kyle looked to the sky. You built your empire on forgetting. He raised his hand. Now remember, in the pit, a tremor rippled. The beasts howled, not in rage. In recognition, Kyle stepped back. One of the observers leaned forward. What happens now? Another answered without turning. The Alpha walks. The rest will follow. Above them, the Emperor watched the fleet lose control. He watched the panic spread through the galactic net. He watched his 1,000-year illusion shatter, and Kyle did not even look at him. The general turned. It's over. The Emperor reached for a weapon. Kyle raised his eyes. No, this is just the reckoning. The arena lights failed. Only Kyle remained visible, surrounded by beasts, standing still, waiting. The darkness did not break for several minutes. It did not shift or fade. It devoured. It hung heavy like ancient guilt, like an old truth finally spoken aloud. In every system where the broadcast reached, ships froze in orbit. Markets stilled. Wars paused. Even the automated drones that mined stars hesitated, because something old had returned, and it did not need to roar to be heard. Kyle stood in the arena alone. He looked upward through the vanished ceiling, past the false dome that once cloaked the stars, now open, now cracked. The void looked back. Around him the beast stirred, not restless, not afraid. Ready, from below the arena the floor split. Stone grated, lights flickered. A second chamber opened, rising from beneath the surface like a buried secret. The walls of this place were lined with bones, not for show, not for intimidation, for remembrance. Every skull bore a mark, a scar. A number. Kale walked among them. The beasts followed. Tharak moved at his right, Grell at his left. The others spread. Out like sentinels, Kyle stopped at one wall, reached out. His hand brushed a skull marked 73. His voice was low. Varek, you held the southern line, alone. No one came, but you did not fall. He turned to another, marked 104, Zael. You shattered your own cryopod to warn the fleet. You died screaming and unarmed. The beasts listened. None blinked. None moved. Kyle turned back to the entrance. The chamber sealed behind him. The air changed, pressurized. The lights shifted from red to a deep, cold blue. Old systems reawakened. Terran design. Long dormant a voice spoke. Synthetic. Familiar command signature verified. Apex 1 recognized. Reactivation sequence initiated. The floor shook. The bones rattled. Then the walls slid apart to reveal weapons. Not ordinary weapons. Not mass-manufactured. These were relics. Terran craft. Black steel edged. Ion infused. Each one embedded with memory. Cores. Kyle approached them. He picked up a blade. Longer than his arm. Plain hilt. No mark. The steel shimmered in the air. It had no name. It did not need one. The voice returned. Biometric match confirmed. Combat memory link stabilized. Would you like to initiate pack release? Kyle said. Yes, all. Across the chamber, sealed doors hissed open. More beasts emerged. Not bred for war, bred for unity. Silent shapes moved through the gloom. Massive hounds with crystalline spines. Lithe crawlers with mirrored skin. Air sang around them. Tharek growled low. They have waited a long time, Kyle nodded. So have we. In the Emperor's chamber, panic bloomed like wildfire. Orders shouted. Screens broken. Guards turning on each other. Chaos in velvet robes. The general stood still. They were never extinct. We just stopped looking. The Emperor screamed, "Send the Nightborn. Send the phase troopers. Send the bombs. I do not care what it takes." The general turned slowly. They will not come. Why not? Because they remember. On the outer rim, the Dominion fleets disintegrated from within. Not by attack. By defection. By silence. By refusal. Old ships marked with Terran runes emerged from dark space. No announcements. No broadcasts. They did not need them. One officer stood on the deck of a returning cruiser. His eyes gray. His hands. "Callist, activate the Ghost Protocol, sir. We bring back the truth, no matter the cost." Kyle walked into the center of the second chamber. He raised the blade. The beasts formed around him. A single word lit the walls. Awakened, he spoke. For centuries they silenced our names, called us chaos, said we were the storm. He looked at each beast in turn, but we were never the storm. We were the wall that held it. Back, a low rumble answered. Not from the beasts. From below, the ground beneath the arena cracked. The floor ruptured. A lift rose. On it stood a boy, small, thin, shivering. Kyle stepped forward. The boy looked up. "Are you the one who walks with monsters?" Kyle knelt. "I am the one who remembers why we made them." The boy looked around. "Are they going to eat?" Mikhail smiled. "No. They came to protect you." The boy blinked. "But I am nobody." Kale placed the blade on the floor. "You are the reason we were built." A voice came from the upper decks. "You would protect the weak." Even now, Kale stood. A man stepped into the chamber. Tall, lean, pale robes, eyes marked by years of guilt. "I was there when they signed the silence. When they buried your name." Kyle said nothing. The man continued. "I helped them seal the memory of Earth. I wrote the code that purged your archives." Kale picked up the blade again. "And now you speak." "I am the last witness." Kale looked at him. "Then watch." The walls lit up with star maps, each one marked by red flares, signals from the lost ships, beacons long thought dead. Everyone now answered. The witness trembled. "How many?" Kale answered. "All of them." In the void, the Terran fleet assembled. No formation, no protocol, just presence. Carriers older than the Dominion, frigates from forgotten moons, command ships once, lost in singularities. The beasts howled in unity. Kale raised the blade toward the stars, not for conquest, not for vengeance. He lowered it, for memory. Across the galaxy, the lies shattered, one by one. The sky above the capital split open, not with fire, not with ruin, but with truth. The Terran fleet descended without sound, without threat, only presence. Every Dominion sensor overloaded, every warning system failed, every protocol crumbled under weight. Not of force, but of memory. Kyle stood on the obsidian platform at the summit of the ancient citadel, his blade at his side, the beasts arrayed behind him. They had not attacked, they had not spoken, but their silence was a judgment. The world could not ignore. Tharek shifted his stance, his eyes scanning the horizon. "Do they know what comes next?" Kale answered. "They feel it." Grell knelt beside the boy, who still clutched the carved token Kale had given him. The the token marked with the forgotten crest. Of Earth. The boy looked at Kale. What will you do now? Kale met his gaze. I will give them a choice. Below the streets boiled with unrest. Not rebellion, not yet, but something deeper. The cracks beneath empire rippling through every tower, every tribunal, every hidden corridor of control. In the imperial chamber, the emperor stood alone, his robes torn, his crown fallen. His general did not speak. His guards had vanished. His advisors had fled. Only the old witness remained, watching Kale approach across the open skyway. Kale entered the chamber. The beasts did not follow. They waited outside, still as statues. The witness stepped forward. Do you remember my name? Kale looked at him. You are the one who chose silence. The witness nodded. Then you know what? I lost. Kyle's voice was cold. You lost nothing. You were never made to hold what we carried. The emperor staggered forward, spitting. You think this ends with memory. You think your truth can rebuild what we control. Kyle walked toward him. I think. Your control was built on bones you chose not to see. The emperor drew a ceremonial blade, thin, sharp, woven with imperial sigils. I will not bow to ghosts. Kale let him strike. The blade touched his armor and shattered. The emperor fell to his knees. Bleeding from his hand, from his pride, from the illusion he no longer believed, Kyle stood over him. I am not your executioner. He turned to the witness. You will be the voice now. You will tell them what was buried. The witness trembled. They will not. Believe me. Kyle stepped past him. They will, because I will not stay. He returned to the beasts, the boy following at his side. Across the city, feeds flickered back to life, not controlled, not filtered, raw signals from Terran vessels, from free worlds, from prisoners once silenced. One by one, species remembered what had been lost. The fleet did not land, it did not conquer, it did not demand. It waited, and then it left. Kale and the beasts returned to the void. Tharak sat beside the old maps, now illuminated, with paths once erased. Where do we go now? Kale answered, home. Grell looked toward the rim. Does it still exist? Kale stared into the stars. If not, we build it again. The boy curled beside one of the great hounds, his eyes heavy with sleep. Kale watched him for a moment, then turned to the others. We were never meant to rule, only to remember, only to return when the lie became too heavy to bear. Tharak spoke low. Will they forget again? Kale smiled without joy. Yes. And what then? Kale gripped the blade tighter. Then someone else will walk into the arena alone. Far below, on the surface of 1,000 worlds, names were spoken aloud for the first time in generations. Names that once meant fear, now meant freedom. In the oldest archive beneath the Dominion vaults, a single file opened without request. It contained coordinates, not of weapons, not of fleets, of graves, of oaths, of Earth. The file closed itself. The Dominion did not fall in fire. It dissolved in understanding. No empire built on silence survives. The voice that remembers. Kyle did not speak again. He vanished into the dark and across the galaxy. Every child born beneath that sky would one day hear the same story whispered in every tongue, in every cradle. He walked into the arena alone, and every beast bowed because he remembered, and made them remember too.